You'll never amount to anything without our help." My mother's voice carried through the auditorium microphone, making hundreds of heads turn toward the stage. My graduation cap suddenly felt heavy, my gown too tight. The camera crew she'd brought panned across my face, capturing the moment for a YouTube channel. "This diploma is courtesy of our sacrifice," my father added, grabbing the microphone. "Maybe now she'll finally show some gratitude." I smiled like I agreed while everything inside me shifted. I wasn't always the ungrateful daughter they described to their 50,000 subscribers. Growing up in a household where achievements were currency, I'd learned early that love came with conditions. My parents ran a family vlog channel that documented our perfect life, though the cameras only rolled when we were performing the script. Behind the scenes, I was the perpetual understudy for the role of devotee daughter. I'd earned my place at Stanford through scholarships and night shifts at the local diner. Every Sunday, I'd call home, regardless of midterms or exhaustion. Every holiday, I'd take 3 buses to make it back for their channel's special episodes. I sent cards on birthdays and anniversaries, remembered my mother's favorite flowers, and asked thoughtful questions about my father's latest business ventures. Back then, I still believed effort would earn respect. They never contributed a dollar to my education. When financial aid forms required their tax information, I'd have to beg for weeks. "You chose this expensive school," my mother would say, as if my full academic scholarship was a personal affront to her community college degree. The first real crack appeared during my junior year. I'd called home on a Thursday instead of Sunday because I'd aced a particularly difficult exam and wanted to share the news. My mother answered, distracted. "Mom, I got the highest score in advanced Biachum," I said, unable to contain my excitement. "That's nice, honey. Hold on." I heard her cover the phone partially, her voice still audible. "It's just her again. Tell them I'll call back in 5. I placed that moment where I keep things I can't unknow. There had been good times, though. I remembered my 10th birthday when they'd taken me to the Science Museum, my father lifting me up to see the dinosaur fossils better, the annual Christmas cookie baking sessions, where my mother would let me lick the spoon, the kitchen warm with cinnamon and sugar. These memories glowed golden in my mind, preserved like amber. I didn't realize how much those quiet rituals would cost later. As college progressed, our relationship deteriorated by increments, so small they were almost imperceptible. Their channel grew more popular. Family Expert became part of their brand, despite the fact that we barely spoke outside of scheduled calls and scripted holiday gatherings. When I visited home, they'd insist on filming casual conversations that were anything but casual. "Just be yourself," my mother would say, though myself was apparently too quiet, too serious, too academic. "Smile more." My father would direct from behind the camera. "Talk about something interesting." I began to document the small betrayals, not out of vindictiveness, but as reality checks against their revisionist history. The text message where my mother claimed she never received my request for a phone call before my big presentation. The email where my father promised to help with apartment hunting then canceled at the last minute for a sponsored video opportunity. It's funny how imbalance hides in everyday chores until it doesn't. When they mentioned my graduation in a video, we were so excited to see our baby girl get her diploma. I actually believed them. Perhaps this milestone would be different. Perhaps achievement at this level would finally be enough. A week before graduation, I called to confirm their arrival time. "About that," my mother began, and I felt my stomach sink. "We've been thinking it might be better if we skip the ceremony. It's such a long trip, and graduations are so boring with all those names being read." "But you said in your video that was for content, sweetie. You understand." My father took the phone. "Look, Professor, we're really proud of you, but we've got this brand deal that weekend. It's important for the channel." I hung up and stared at my wall for an hour. 4 years of work, of balancing jobs and classes, of proving I could succeed on my own terms, and they couldn't spare a weekend. The morning of graduation arrived sunny and perfect. I lined up with my classmates, mortarboard secured with extra bobby pins, honor cords draped across my shoulders. My roommate's family had brought me flowers. The absence of my own parents stung, but I was surrounded by people who showed up without conditions. We filed into the auditorium, the procession music swelling. And then I saw them. My parents, not in the audience where family belonged, but near the stage, with a cameraman and sound equipment. When Myro stood to approach the stage, I saw my father move toward the university president, leaning in to speak with him. The president looked confused, then shrugged slightly. I climbed the steps to the stage as my name was called, reaching out to accept my diploma. That's when my mother stepped forward, somehow now holding a microphone connected to the sound system. "You'll never amount to anything without our help," she said, her voice echoing. "This diploma is courtesy of our sacrifice." My father joined her. Maybe now she finally shows some gratitude. The audience fell silent. My classmates' expressions ranged from shock to second-hand embarrassment. The university president looked horrified, gesturing to security. But the damage was done. The camera captured everything: my frozen smile, my trembling hands, the palpable discomfort in the room. Someone in the audience laughed nervously. Then another. Soon there was a ripple of uncomfortable laughter as people processed the bizarre interruption. Their laughter finished the sentence I'd been avoiding. Security escorted my parents and their camera crew out, but they'd gotten what they came for: footage, drama, content. I accepted my diploma with steady hands, walked across the stage with my head high, and returned to my seat. Inside, something had crystallized. That evening, I returned to my apartment and opened my laptop. With methodical precision, I downloaded every text, email, and recorded conversation from the past 4 years. I organized them chronologically, adding notes for context, financial documents showing my scholarships and student jobs, screenshots of their social media posts claiming parental pride alongside private messages, dismissing my achievements. By morning, everything would be exactly where it belonged. I slept dreamlessly and woke with unusual clarity. My phone showed 7 missed calls from my parents, and twice as many texts. I read them clinically. Outrage at being humiliated by security, demands for an apology, threats about consequences. Nothing acknowledging what they had done. I didn't respond immediately. Instead, I finished packing my apartment, confirmed details for my new job across the country, and met friends for a goodbye lunch. Only then did I call them back, speakerphone on, a friend present as witness. "How dare you ignore us after we made the effort to come to your graduation?" My mother began without preamble. "An effort that involved humiliating me on stage," I replied, voice steady. "We were trying to make it special." My father interjected. "Do you know how many views that video is getting? We're making you famous." I never asked for fame. I asked for parents who would support me. "We've supported you your entire life," my mother hissed. "Everything we've done has been for you. Would you like me to send you the transcript of last week's call where you both refused to attend my graduation? Or perhaps the spreadsheet of my college expenses showing that I paid for everything myself? Reality is loud when you can prove it." That video never appeared on their channel. Instead, they posted a vague update about taking time to reconnect as a family away from the cameras. I moved across the country for my job in biomedical research. I changed my phone number, created new social media accounts, and began building a life unburdened by performance. 5 years passed. I earned my PhD, published research, bought a small house with a garden, made friends who knew me, not my role in someone else's narrative. Peace makes time move differently. When I received the invitation to speak at a conference in their city, I considered declining, but avoidance was its own form of power imbalance. I accepted the speaking engagement and, after some reflection, texted them that I would be in town. We met at a restaurant neutral territory. They looked older, of course. My mother had stopped dyeing her hair. Silver strands caught the light as she waved me over. We ordered drinks, made small talk. "We miss you on the channel," she eventually said. "Our viewers ask about you sometimes." "I'm not available for content," I replied, the familiar boundary statement rolling off my tongue with practiced ease. I looked at them clearly, these two people who had once seemed so powerful, so essential to my existence. They were just people now flawed, aging, somewhat diminished by the years, and their fading relevance. I'm not the pasture looking at the deed. They didn't understand the metaphor, but they understood the firmness behind it. When we parted outside the restaurant, their hugs were genuine but brief. As I turned toward my hotel, I felt the last loop close. The graduation stage, the public humiliation, the years of performing for conditional love, all of it was just prologue to this moment of quiet self-possession. The door between us would remain neither fully closed nor fully open, but properly positioned exactly where I wanted it. And that, finally, was enough.